It's Blammo. I'm your host, Jeremy Kirkland. Okay, how are we all doing? Well, I can't hear you, but I'm going to tell you how I'm doing. Jeez Louise. This is, it's been a tough week. Great pod this week, so pumped. But this has been a tough week. And let me just say, I had a little bit of car trouble lately. And I'm going to go ahead and tell the story because it's just so stupid. And look, let me just say that, I'm very grateful for my life. I'm so happy to be doing this pod for a living. But I'm a bit of an idiot, and that's okay. And I'm learning to just live with my idiocy. So I'm driving my car with my daughter to take her to daycare, and everything's going fine. And then this light pops up on the dashboard. And I'm like, oh my god, check engine light. Okay, well, what does that mean? It's probably nothing. And well, it's flashing. What does that mean? I'm just gonna go, we get to the daycare, I look it up, and I Google search, and it's like, oh, if the check engine light flashes, and it's nothing fancy. It's just like a Toyota RAV4. It's an old one. And it's like, if that flashes, you do not pass go. You got to get that fixed. That's a big deal. And I'm like, oh my God. And of course, I call the dealer, and, it's some certified car, but of course, the warranty expired 4 days ago. I'm not even kidding. I'm just like, come on. So I take it to them. I drop off the car, and they're like, Mr. Kirkland, we're going to take care of it. They call me. They're like, oh, your battery's bad. But we couldn't see the error code from the check engine light. It's probably because the battery was bad, didn't store it. So we're going to change the battery. We're going to find a way to replicate this, and we'll get it fixed. I'm like, oh, wow, this okay. So I go to New York. This is the other week, and they, were working on it. They call me back, Mr. Kirkland. We couldn't replicate the issue. But rest assured, your car is safe. We did all the things we were supposed to do. I was like, okay, great. So I pick up the car. I'm driving the car again. This is a few days later. Same early morning, taking my daughter to daycare. All of a sudden, doggone light pops on. I'm like, son of you got to be kidding me. So pull back into the parking lot at the daycare, drop off my daughter. And I'm just like, man, these guys at the Toyota dealer, they're going to hear it from me. Because I'm going from Mr. Nice Jeremy to Mr. I'm disgruntled, right? I don't let the expletives fly, but I do in my head. So it's probably just as bad. And I call him and I'm like, hey, let's just call him. His name's Eric. And I'm like, Eric, buddy, look, I got the light again. I got the check engine light. Well, what is going on? And he's like, oh, Mr. Kirkland's sorry to hear that. Why don't you bring the car back? And I'm like, gosh, these goofballs can't even fix the issue. And of course, this is suburban life problems, right? Oh, I got a check engine light on my car. And, and most of the time, if it was old Jeremy, I would be like, I don't care. I'm driving this car until the wheels fall off. But given the fact I have a almost 4-year-old in the back seat, I'm like, I probably should be a little bit more responsible. And I would say I probably err too cautious. Let's just take that and set it aside. So I'm in the car and the check engine light goes off. I'm like, okay, I'm sure it's fine. Just forget it. I'm not going to deal with this. Check engine light comes back on later in the day. I'm going out to dinner. My wife and I are in the car. Boom. And I was like, son of a, all right, that's it. No more things. I'm calling the dealer. So call them. They're like, yeah, bring it in. I go bring it in. I hand them the car. And I am hot. I am so hot because I'm just like, I got plenty of stuff that I'd rather be doing. I don't want to be bringing my doggone car to the dealership. This is freaking infuriating. And there's Eric again, walking around with this fucking shit-eating grin. And I am just so mad. And, Eric walks over to me and he's like, hey, Mr. Kirkland, oh, good. The check-in, is the light on? I was like, look, the light's on right now. You guys, hopefully you guys can diagnose this time. And so he opens the car door, gets inside the car, sits in the car, and he's like, Mr. Kirkland, well, what do you mean? I don't see the check engine light. And I'm like, dude, okay, I was like, we must be looking at two different cars because right there, and I point to it, and he's like, sir, that's the tire pressure light. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, that means it's a sensor saying that it can't read the pressure of your tire, so that light flashes. And I'm like, no, what do you mean? I was like, it's got the exclamation point, it's got the parentheses, it's got that. I was like, that's the check engine light. And he's like, sir, no, and he turns the car off. Turns the car back on. You see all the lights flash on the dashboard. He's like, do you see the one that's a check engine that lit up? And I was like, yeah. He's like, that's your check engine light. I'm like, all right, big guy. And oh man, I feel like a freaking moron. And I would say that is the summary of my week. I am just focusing on on the wrong stuff when I think it's the other thing. I mean, so how about that? Anyway, great show this week. We got Chris Echevarria of Blackstock and Weber. He's, good Lord. I mean, this pod perfectly summarizes why I love making this show. Because there are so many incredible artisans and entrepreneurs in this industry. And I love like how the line is blurring more and more every day. Chris of Blackstock and Weber, by the way, has helped turn the loafer from a classic menswear piece to a hyped piece of streetwear and back again. And like for me, the biggest takeaway is that he made me realize more that like just the label of all these things, like streetwear, classic menswear, it just doesn't matter. And like I am so convicted of just trying to put things in boxes to say like that's what it is. Therefore, I can, have a better understanding of it, and to not let brands, evolve and be more fluid is a fault I think of all of us face as consumers. Period. I mean, it was a beautiful conversation, and I'm so glad that he's on. So Chris and I discussed his life going from working at J. Crew to selling at J. Crew, how his company Blackstock and Weber has become the most talked about brand in ages, and what wild things he's working on next. It's a pod for the ages, people. Okay, here we go. Well, thanks for making the time to chat.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Definitely want to talk a lot about, this new sort of, you kind of like burst onto the scene, but you've been in the scene for a while.
Yeah.
Because you're not some guy, I mean, with Blackstock and Weber, which I feel like everyone loves and is obsessed with, but like you didn't just, you didn't start out of some VC or some sort of like, what's the problem? Here's the solution.
No. No, there is no problem. There is no problem. So I've pretty much been in menswear my entire career. Studied menswear design at FIT. Probably one of the best programs in the world. So started there. While I was there, I had a job at the J. Crew liquor store.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I worked there. I was a retail associate there, since the store opened. And while I was there, I developed this really good relationship with Mickey Drexler. And he would just come into the store, and, anybody that has listened to any of Mickey's podcasts or, has heard him speak, he's like the type of person that talks to everybody from, the ground up. Right. And, kind of sees where their heads are at. So he would make it a point to come to the liquor store and just kind of ask me what I saw going on in the streets and what I liked. And, we didn't necessarily have to wear J. Crew in that store. They were just whatever you think is good, because, all of you guys have style.
Well, to just kind of expand on that a little bit for listeners that don't know, the J. Crew liquor store was probably one of the first big experimental retail projects out of J. Crew in kind of the modern menswear era. And it was also one of the first J. Crews that had third-party brands as much as they had J. Crew private label. You had the
probably
Red Wings.
More in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think Todd Snyder helped, get off the ground at that time.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it was the spot for the future of retail. I mean, it still is, ahead of its time, and the vibe of it, because I know it was Andy Spade, his team had kind of helped get that off the ground.
Their team helped do it. Well, they basically did it, but it was a time, like you said, it was one of those places that was in the early aughts of that menswear, that hashtag menswear period.
Yeah.
There were some capitals in New York City, if you will. And I would say that, J. Crew liquor store was one of those epicenters. Yeah. So
so Mickey's coming in there, and you guys are becoming buddies.
Yep. Building with Mickey, who's still a really good friend to this day.
That's great.
And he would come in and, ask me what I would see was going on in the streets. And, some of the stuff that I would mention to him would just end up in the store, a couple weeks later.
Like what?
So we started carrying Mr. Freedom because, you know, it was something that I liked. We started carrying certain models of vintage watches
Oh
because of the
shit.
stuff that I
Okay.
like. You know, we start one of the early conversations that we had about like New Balance and Nike were you know, integral in the conversations of them bringing them into the shop. Um, AR Trap for glasses. You know, who I still buy my glasses from to this day. They're defunct, but I still work with the factory that produces them.
Right.
Um, but
Dang.
yeah, those things were things that I like, you know, liked and, you know, would end up in the store. And, you know, Mickey was also a big fan of AR Trap, and he was just like, never thought of just like bringing this into the store. But yeah, so started there. And just like anybody else in this industry, you know, kind of worked in several different capacities and in different internships. I've worked for Tim Hamilton. I've worked for Tom Brown. I've worked for I did a little stint at Ralph. Just like different things that we were just like, you know, as a student, I would just like hop in during like fashion week and, you know, whether it was like hand out invitations or like whatever. Or, you know, there were some places where I was able to kind of delve deeper in and just like, you know, kind of lend my expertise and, you know, talk about the things that I liked and, you know, just from a design perspective. So, you know, from there, Cotton Incorporated, Men's Trend Forecaster. From there, took a little break and chilled. This was about 2014.
Hmm.
And, you know, went out and basically just kind of took a hiatus. And my boy Dustin gave me a call and he was like, yo, what are you up to? It's like, you know, man, I'm really just hanging out. Like, what do you got? And basically just told me that he was working for this showroom and, you know, they had just came back from Pitti Uomo and, you know, there were a bunch of brands over there that are just like looking for their way to kind of enter the market and, you know, just be here in a way that is substantial in the same way that they are in Europe.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, he's like, yo, I think that you would be perfect to kind of join this team and, you know, kind of help out with what's going on here. And I said, okay, cool. Well, what brands do you think we'd work with? And, you know, he mentioned a couple and he was like, well, I'm really excited about this one brand that I've been talking to called Stone Island. So,
Had you heard of Stone Island at the time? I assume
no,
yes. No.
I mean, it
Well,
wasn't something that I
2014
could
was
afford. It wasn't
yeah.
something that I could afford.
Right.
It was one of those things that you would see on a mood board or you would see,
Right.
you know, on an older gentleman. It wasn't something that I saw as, you know, either A, in my reach or B, you know, something that would fit within my aesthetic at that time.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, we were like, okay, we're really excited about this brand. So it's like, okay, cool, let's do it. Learned a little bit more about them, you know, rooted in research, really fucking cool, Italian, you know, producing their own fabrics, like, you know, garment dyeing their own fabrics, like real interesting shit. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm down, right? So start off there and, you know, shit is slow in the beginning, bro. Like, you know, we're getting clothes thrown at us from Stone Island and we're wearing the shit and like nobody really fucks with it. And they're just like, oh yeah, what's that patch you got on your shoulder? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
What's the
we're
compass,
like
man?
yeah, right. And we're like, we got on full Stone outfits and nobody's fucking with it at all.
Crazy.
So, you know, we knew that we had our work ahead of us. But what we decided to do was kind of recontextualize it and like, you know, kind of show people how this can kind of fit into, you know, street culture, you know, luxury and luxury culture synonymously. So we approached some of the big luxury stores. We approached some of the big streetwear stores. We, you know, most notably had that collaboration with Supreme that we put out.
Yeah.
we did the collaboration with Nike, opened 2 stores, really blew this business up to the point that they got acquired for $1 billion just a few months ago.
Jeez, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, Montclair, man.
Okay.
Yeah, Montclair acquired them for like $1 billion. So yeah, I mean, even before doing, or even before seeing the acquisition and, knowing the amount of work that myself and the team put into that, when I decided to leave in what was like 2017.
And this was M5, right? The showroom?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
When I decided to leave in 2017, there were a couple things going through my head. It was like, all right, cool. I can, either get a job somewhere else, or I can use all this, knowledge and, that I've acquired through, doing this over these past like 3-4 years, and do it myself with something that I myself am passionate about.
Yeah.
And that's how Blackstock and Weber was sort of born.
Well, so wait, I do want to jump back one bit on the Stony stuff, because I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize, the work of a brand, and especially what you guys were doing, it's not that you changed the design and then the brand became desirable, right? Like,
no.
Nothing really, and I say this to your credit, actually, like nothing really changed at the core of what Stone Island was, right? I mean, there was already a popular following in Europe. Some of it was a bit like pejorative in the sense that, like, if you wore Stony, people would think that you were like a soccer hooligan, or you were some sort of, it was, there were some parts where now people would kind of like frown that was how it was being represented. And so you guys aren't redesigning, you're not changing. It wasn't that like, oh, and then we discovered this fabric and then it became cool. And so like, what is the kind of work that goes involved into changing people's perceptions of something when you physically don't alter the object at all?
I think it's just more about the context, right?
Right.
So the way that, Stone Island was presented was very like, what I like to call back then was Italian sexy, like very European sexy, very techish,
Same Maritz like, Playboy sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? That shit doesn't necessarily translate over here. I mean, as cool as it might be over there, like over here, you're only going to get a certain kind of guy. You're going to get the guy that, aspires to be that. And there are only so many guys that aspire to be that. And there are only so many pieces that person is going to buy per year, because there are so many other brands out there that are throwing him that same lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like he can hop in some Paul and Shark. He can hop in some,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what, you're fighting against all of these other motherfuckers that are just giving you the same shit.
Right. No, that's a really good point.
So the recontextualization is, just saying, hey, we have this history in hooligan culture, which has like sort of this direct parallel to like streetwear. Like if you like budget a little bit, it's like, okay, this can be streetwear in a sense, right? So what we did, and I don't think that we knew that we were doing this at the time, is we kind of immersed ourselves in that culture and understanding that culture, and kind of took that and put it through the filter of a kid who, has grown up in, the outer suburbs of New York and has spent a lot of time within New York, and kind of ran it through that filter and said, okay, this is what we can keep for this guy. Let's tell a story this way and see whether it resonates or not. And the fact that we just like, knew some people in the industry that, we could like, kind of sit down and have a beer with and be like, hey, this is this, and this is what it was, and this is what we kind of see it as, especially with us like wearing it out, and, us putting it together in the ways that we, did. And, honestly, I feel like we as a group, and I say that as like, the guys that worked at M5 during that era were like super important in creating what was the influx of people wearing Air Force Ones, because that was like what you could wear with Stone Island stuff and have it not be too like overly aggressive.
Yes.
You couldn't wear a Common Projects, that era had kind of passed. You couldn't wear a CP with this shit because that's too Italian sexy. Like we had to go the other direction and make it into like sort of like this like New York sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So the Air Force One was the perfect complement. It was super comfortable. We were doing a lot of traveling. So it was like the shoe that we would wear when we would travel. When we travel, we do a lot of walking between meetings and things like that. So it was just like a functional shoe for us. And if it got dirty, or if it was something, or if it was like really shitty, it was something that we could like throw away because it was $75 and like not give a fuck about it. And if we needed another pair wherever we were in the world, we could get it because it's something that is sold everywhere.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, because I mean, like, I remember seeing like Adrian Carter, and
my man.
Yeah, I mean, he was wearing the like overalls, and I was like, oh man, that's a vibe, man. And I was like that. It was, I think like that's the big thing that you guys were doing too. Is also, I mean, there's a representation thing that was happening, but also, yeah, I mean, like showing that it could be worn differently versus I think what a lot of people knew at Stone Island was either like archival stuff from Aussie or like a British soccer hooligan dude of like a Chelsea Smiler with like a razor blade, which is which in some ways you can look back and be like, oh, that's kind of cool, but you don't want to like glorify violence or
exactly. No, but and that's the same thing when you look at like, let's look at Tommy Hilfiger,
bingo,
respectively. Yeah. Let's look at Ralph Lauren, respectively. Yeah. Like, when you take these things that have like a very strong base to them, and you run them through the filter of somebody who, like I said, lived in those outer suburbs, might not have grown up in the hood, but like has like cousins that live in the hood and like spent a substantial amount of time there, have like grew up watching music videos and like, kind of putting those things into context there. And then there's like, just like living here and traveling and understanding like the importance of a well-made good and, the importance of fabrication in certain things, It was just like, all of the things that in this is why I say that Blackstock and Weber is sort of my life's work. It's like all of the things that I had experienced in my life, just kind of like created what this is. It's like you put all of those things into a blender and you pour it out, and that's Blackstock and Weber, honestly.
No, that's a great explanation, because I think when Blackstock and Weber came out, I was like, wait, are these loafers or are these sneakers? And I felt like, and I'm again, like as a compliment, because in my mind, and this is something I'm just realizing that like, I think that I'm super open to everything and I get it, but no matter what, my like feeble brain puts everything in boxes because I'm scared of admitting that I don't understand stuff, right? And when Blackstock came out, I was like, I don't get it. I was like, they're loafers, but they're like sneaker, and I was like, I don't understand any of this stuff. And I was like, man, maybe it's just not for me. And it was more just like me being jealous because I didn't get it, and all my other friends were like, this is dope. You have no idea what you're doing. And it was like, almost like if I could make a meme, it was like me holding my Alden Cordovans in one hand and looking at Blackstocks and being like, why are these so much better holding up the Blackstocks? Like, what is...
what is it? Yeah. Honestly, it was like, like I said, it was that like mix of all of these things. And, you know, one of the things that I, you know, sort of left out of my history here is I was also an agent for this shoe brand for the US called Sanders. So they are a factory out of the UK.
Yo, I knew him. Run of the mill. All those shoes were Sanders.
Yeah.
Mark McNary.
I'm explaining it for everybody that's listening. Right?
Yeah, please.
I know you know. I'm explaining it for everybody that's fucking listening. So yeah, out of the UK, probably some of the best, you know, handmade shoes that you can get out of Northampton. Like everybody talks that like fucking churches, you know, like fuck all that shit. Like Sanders makes the best shoe. Period. Sanders makes the best shoes in the UK. I mean, to the point, like, they were making Tom Brown shit back in the day.
Yes, sir.
And Tom Brown's long wings, if you remember from back in the day, Tom Brown's long wings were $2,000.
Well, yeah, because he started at Trickers, and then they moved to Sanders because there were issues with the production of Trickers.
Yeah.
And Sanders could handle all of the things that they wanted.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they were crushing it.
They were $2,000 coming out of Sanders too.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing is like, you know, if you can literally sell a product for $2,000 when somebody has it in their hand, because there wasn't that much online, like activity of people like buying shoes online back then, especially at that price point. If you could sell somebody that shoe for $2,000 once they have it in their hand, you know, it's fucking good. You know, it's good. Anyway, I was the agent for Sanders for a while. You know, there was some overlap there while I was at Stone. But what, you know, that relationship sort of afforded me, and this kind of goes back to your question of like, you know, did you just like stop doing this and automatically have a shoe? Fuck no. Like fuck no, that's not how this shit works. You know? So like I had this relationship with this factory, and I, you know, was sort of looking around at the market after I left Stone and was just trying to figure out, you know, where I could sort of make my mark, honestly. You know, and, you know, I knew it wasn't going to be in shirting. I knew it wasn't going to be in fucking pants. I knew it wasn't going to be in any of these things that, you know, people see as very fucking important, right? I wasn't going to make the best suit out there. I feel like Martin Greenfield makes the best suit out there, so I wasn't going to compete with him. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going to make the best, you know, pair of pants out there. I wasn't going to make the best jeans out there. Double RL makes the best jeans, you know?
Right.
316 is next in line, but you know, like I like, you know, I like what I like, and I know that those people make really good shit. So I did a lot of shopping, did a lot of looking around at the market and seeing what was going on. And whenever you go into a men's shop, right, the first thing that you see, shirts, pants, all the way in the back of the motherfucker, some shoes.
Yeah, you're right. Footwear is always in the back.
Always in the back of the motherfucker, some shoes, right?
That's a really good point. Yeah.
You get to the back of the store and you see the shoes, and what do you see on the wall? Fucking Brown Town. Brown shoe in this way, brown shoe in that 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 way. This shit is, and in my head, I'm like, this shit is not exciting at all. Cordovan over here, like, you know, oh, this is the Cordovan one, so it's more expensive. Like, this is the cooler one because it's more expensive, and it's all based on price. And it's just like, all right, cool, bro. Like, there's nothing going on here that is interesting to me. So I said, yo, I think that this is a thing here. I think that because everybody spends their time contextualizing outerwear, they contextualize, you know, bottoms and tops, they contextualize accessories. But shoes, the only thing that everybody fucking needs, right? The only thing that everybody needs becomes this thing that is an afterthought.
Yeah. And I feel like at least for me, because I'm a guy where, you know, I was I'll always buy shoes. I never
Mm-hmm.
am going to say like, oh, I don't need that right now. Like, I'll look
Mm-hmm.
at that with suits. I think shoes and denim. Like, I went and looked in my closet the other day, and I was like, yo, this is not a flex. I was like, yo, I got like 16 pairs of jeans. And I was like, I think I need a new pair of jeans for the fall. And I'm like, what?
Right.
I don't need them. But I'm like, no, I need
Right.
them. And I looked down and I was like, probably need some new shoes too. Got to get some
Right. Right.
Gotta get
Right.
I'm fine on sweaters for all time. Don't need a sweater ever again.
I just did my denim haul for the fall.
Yeah, there you go.
I just did my denim haul for the haul. And like, yo, one of the things that you kind of get better at as you get older is like timing the shit out.
Right.
Because usually, like, I'll be like in the middle of the fall or like in the middle of the winter, and I'm like, oh shit, I need some jeans, you know?
Yeah.
But like now I'm just like, all right, cool. What do I need to do before fall hits? Okay, I need to get my barber waxed. I need to get my jeans straight. I need to get everything. Like, I need to get everything fucking tailored. I need to get my denim chain stitched, and all of that shit takes time. And if you don't do it early enough, then everybody else is trying to do it at the same time as you.
That's
I
right.
dropped off my barber last week because I dropped off 6 barbers to the store last week because I'm not fucking around with anybody like, you know, like saying, oh, it's going to take 6 weeks for you to get your jacket back. Fuck that. I wear that shit all winter.
Yeah.
I don't really buy a winter jacket. Like, I wear a barber and a hoodie. Like, that's just what I
go.
But yes.
So anyway, so you're in the stores.
Shoes.
Yeah, so you're in the store and you're basically looking at the shoe samples that people have. And there's really not much there. Because I'll be honest, most men's shops, it's weird. If you're a men's store, and I say this from stores that I worked at, footwear is 30% of your business. Mm-hmm. Which, if you look at the diversity, whatever, lack of better term, of all the other SKUs that are out there, there's nothing that really carries a store like shoes. If you're like a denim store, you're selling boots and all, you know, and it's just a massive part of your business. But when you think about it, there's not that much out there. Most people like do anything and everything they can to get an Alden account. And that's it. And like Alden's been making the same, you know, Leisure Handzones, the same Cordovans, the same all that stuff for ages.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I was always an Alden guy too. I mean, Alden was one of the plays that, you know, I was involved in with J. Crew. But like, it's just like, you know, like that was, you know, what we had, and that was the gold standard, you know, until God bless this man, Mark McNary came along, and, you know, we got to see a whole nother side of things.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was cool to, you know, and I think that's where you kind of picked up right where McNary was, in the sense that I think people think sneakers are the shoes that you can wear that are fun and weird. But if you're going to wear leather-soled shoes, they can't be fun. And I have no idea why that was some unwritten law that everyone was abiding by. And thankfully, like, you've definitely have come and reinterpreted that for a lot of people.
But listen to the way that people talked about them, right? You know, oh, those are church shoes. Oh, those are dress shoes. Oh. You know what I'm saying? When people start saying those things and they contextualize it in people's heads, you know, when you say it like that, like, you're like, I can only wear it this way. Or like, you know, people don't understand that, you know, what you say has fucking power. If people are saying church shoes, dress shoes, hard bottoms, you know, they don't sound comfortable, they don't sound stylish, and they don't sound cool.
It's you just close the door on a gajillion different.
You close the whole fucking door.
Yeah, you're right.
So, you know, all I really did was open the door and show people like, yo, jeans, sweatpants, shorts, wear them.
Right.
You know, like it's not some like, you know, quirky thing that somebody quirky can wear, like you know, like Tyler the Creator or something like that. You know, it's not just that. It's just like, yo, you going to the store, you going to go walk your dog downstairs, throw on some fucking loafers. They're comfortable. Right. You don't have to run to your closet and try to find your New Balance, even though those are comfortable too. Like, you know, if your loafers about a door, don't feel weird going outside in your loafers.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think too, people were also thrown off I like there was a mindset that people had of like, oh, if I wear a shoe, I gotta quote break it in. And it's like, well, I don't have time to break it in yet, so I'm just never gonna wear it. And I don't find that to be the case with like, because break in initially came from like construction boots, right?
Absolutely.
Where you had like steel toes and stuff like that.
Listen, break-in period is bullshit. You know? Like, I don't like, everybody asks me, like, what's the break-in period? I'm like, yo, however long it takes for you to stop complaining about how these you know, that's just the way it is.
Right.
Like, bro, like this shoe isn't going to ever feel like a sneaker. You know? It's a little bit stiffer. It has a little bit more, you know, oomph to it. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to feel like that. So don't expect that. You know, you might get some blisters or whatever. Toughen the fuck up. It's not about the shoe. You're never going to break in the shoe. You know what I'm saying? It might feel a little bit more comfortable. It might give a little bit because it's leather. It's skin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to give a little bit, but it's not. Toughen up. There's no such thing as the break-in period, bro. Right. You know, just put the shits on, wear them. You know, it's like when you get on a bike, right? When you get on a bike for the first time and like people are like, oh, my ass hurts. No, it's not your ass, it's your sits bones. And when you sit on those sits bones for like the first time, like your ass is like the whole shit is gonna hurt.
Right.
But as you ride your bike and you continue to ride, like it's not gonna bother you anymore. Has the force lessened from you sitting on your bike? No. You just got used to it, bro.
Right.
Toughen up.
That's true. That's true.
Toughen up, man.
Oh, yeah, I feel like it's been broken in now. Yeah.
No, it's not broken in. You just got tougher.
Yeah. This episode is sponsored by Standard & Strange, your go-to in-person or online store for rugged yet elegant wardrobe staples. Founded in 2012, what was once a tiny store in a back alley in Oakland has evolved into one of the best retailers in America. With incredible brands and more, they have everything you need and are experts in every product they sell. Yes, they can help you fit those jeans or those boots online. Believe the hype. With locations in Oakland, Santa Fe, and now New York City, Standard & Strange has the deepest selection of the real McCoys around. If you want goods that go way beyond just reproductions of the most iconic pieces from the 20th century, the real McCoys is it. Every detail is considered down to the custom thread used in the flight jackets. And the biggest selection is at Standard & Strange. My personal favorite is their loop wheel sweats. Nice and short in the length for the classic look. Dude, if you don't have like 2 or 3, you're just missing out. So visit standardandstrange.com/blammo to learn more. And while you're there, check out their new arrivals. Standard & Strange. Own fewer, better things. Standardandstrange.com. So you start making these shoes, and I'll admit, I feel like, based on my perception, like there was a bit of an uphill battle, just like what you're having to do with Stoney, in like recontextualizing, like, no, look at it this way. Think about it this way. So what was that like? I mean, because I think you were just doing direct to consumer on the website at the time, right?
Yep. And it was all the lookbooks, really. So, one of the things that you can do, just like we've seen this from, many direct to consumer companies, is they take their product images and, they put them online and they say, hey, this is the product and this is why it's good and this is where it's made and this is the story, right? As much as that is a, very important part of the story, it's not the fucking story. If you've worked in fashion, you understand that nobody buys shit because it is Goodyear welted, made in England, Nobody buys it because of that.
Right.
They buy it because they like it.
Right.
They buy it because they like it. Now, if you can add on to that Goodyear welted, made in England, then you're stepping your shit up like 10 extra notches. Then people are like, yo, not only is this something that I really like fuck with and like, you know, can kind of see where they're headed with it, but they actually care about what it is that they put out. Because there are a lot of brands that do one well and don't do the other well.
Right.
There are tons of brands that you know, like we're the best made shoe in wherever. Or, you know, this is really fucking stylish and we put it into context, but the product is shit.
Yeah.
I have always, you know, just in, you know, my consumerism, in my career, everything have always wanted each of those levers to be hit.
Mm.
I don't respect a product if it has one and not the other. Like I'm sitting here, I'm drinking this beer. So it's called Noam.
Okay.
Right?
Bavaria, Berlin.
Yeah, man, this shit is fire. So I ordered this shit. So I had this beer for the first time at Hotel Costas in France.
Flex.
In Paris. Yeah, a little bit. So I had this beer for the first time there. And you know, I'm a Miller High Life guy. Like I like light fucking beers that, you know, basically taste like water.
Yep.
You know, and you know, I was like, what do you have that's sort of like High Life? And they were like, oh, this. And I was like, okay, cool. So I had it that first time and I wasn't able to stop thinking about it. Went back to Paris just recently. So like the day that they opened up the borders,
right.
You know, to go back, like I was there that day. I was in Paris that day. And, you know, I took my assistant. I took Ellis with me.
Yeah.
And Ellis, you know, had never been to this place. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's go get lunch at Costas. So we went to go get lunch and, you know, of course, second time having this beer.
Right.
So I'm like, yo, fuck, man, I need this beer at home. So I emailed the company while I'm sitting there at lunch. And I'm like, yo, how can I get some of this shit to the States? And they're like, yo, all right, cool. We'll hook it up for you. We'll send like 50 bottles over to your crib.
50?
Yeah.
How many do you have left?
Yeah. Not many. Not many. Like, you know, it's been a ritual. Like you come home, like, you're all right, I'm cool. I'm going to have a couple. But yeah, so I say that to say that this beer, German beer, is fucking amazing.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, all of the creative, like, look at this bottle. It's like fluted and shit. Like,
yeah, I just looked up the website while we're talking. It's I get it.
So all of the creative is done by Acme.
What?
Yes. All of the creative is done by Acme. So like Acme, the brand, has like a creative studio that does shit as well. And this is one of the brands that is in their creative studio.
I get it now because you take something that it's just not as accessible, or in everyone else's eyes that see it and understand it, they connect it to all of these things that are not accessible or open to them, right? And I felt like with Blackstock, that was the thing that you did. You like reclaim the loafer, taking it away from a bunch of like prep dudes, taking it away from like a bunch of WASP stuff, removing all of that and making it more accessible into, you know, a streetwear, a sneaker, a suit, all of these things where you're like, the shoe has not changed. The outfits remain.
Whatever it is. Yeah. Whatever it is, right? You know, and that, and I'm glad that you said that. And I'm glad that you realize that, because that is the overall ethos of the brand. You know, we are, you know, what I see us as, you know, like a lot of people see us as a shoe company because that's what we sell right now. Right. But like, as we continue to grow and we start to introduce new things, you know, as somebody who is a traditionally trained menswear designer, like can make a fucking suit by hand, you know, fucking with the canvas and everything. Right. Like, you know, like I can do that shit. You know, I've found it really important, especially for this era, to kind of look back and see like like the things that we've kind of forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there isn't as much of an obsession or, you know, a passion for a well-made trouser.
Right.
There isn't that much obsession or passion for a well-made chore coat. You know, like I'm very fucking specific about the shit that I buy, and I'm sure you are too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are people out there that are just in the habit of taking anything. And I feel like through B&W, I'm just like, hey, slow the fuck down. There's a lot of really good shit out here.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't just have to get something to get the look off.
Right.
You can get something that can carry you for a long period of time. Something that you will love. Something that when you wear it, people will notice it because it's well made. It's not like a flash in the fucking pan. Every time that you put on whatever it is that we make or whatever it is that we decide to kind of put out, it will be a standout piece in your wardrobe. Not because the colors are fucking wacky. Not because, it's because it's just, it looks good. It feels good. You know, when somebody, brushes up against you, they feel how fucking luxurious the fabric is. When somebody sees you walking down the street, like, in a pair of our loafers don't look like anybody else's.
That's very true. And
they don't look like anybody else's.
Yeah.
They command attention. And that is something that I did intentionally. I made the design wider. I stacked the heel up double. So it's a double leather sole instead of a single. Like, we use grain for texture instead of a smooth, because all of these things are super important to us, or to me, as the designer, just to kind of create a different sort of aura or understanding about like what it is that, the loafer can be and will be in the future.
Right.
And like, I see that as, just not just the way that we see the loafer, but just the way that, I see things, or I live my life in general.
Right. All right. I got some fun random questions.
Sick. Let's do it.
If you were making a YouTube how-to video, what would the subject be?
Oh, yo, you know what it would be? It would be on wearing the right silhouettes for your body type.
Oh, that's actually really good.
It would be on wearing the right silhouettes for your body type, because I spent a lot of time trying to wear the wrong shit. Mm-hmm. And, I see a lot of people in New York and abroad wearing the wrong shit, wearing shit that is for somebody that is tall and skinny and they are short and chubby. You know what I'm saying? Like, finding the right shit for you and being able to kind of look in the mirror and see what's wrong. That's what it would be on. I'd be telling motherfuckers how to, like, kind of wear the right silhouettes for them.
Get your geometry going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
That would be shit.
That's a good one. Okay. Last movie you saw.
Fuck.
That you liked.
That I liked. You know what? You know what movie I liked? In that, I've watched probably a couple times since then. And like, I didn't watch when it first came out. War Dogs.
Oh, War Dogs. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's out of left field too.
I've watched that a few times. Since I watched it on Netflix. But yeah, War Dogs. Fire.
All right. Last album you heard that you liked.
Certified Lover Boy.
Okay. So, well, we know where you stand.
Yeah, Certified Lover Boy. Mm-hmm.
Last YouTube video you watched.
I have a bunch of shit. My shit is wild, bro. Like, it's mostly cars, honestly.
Oh, okay. I talk about this all the time. Do you like Doug DeMero?
Yes, I love
this.
Doug DeMero. This is yeah. I love Doug. I watch a lot of Doug. I watch a lot of what's his name? Chris something. Chris Harris.
Oh, okay.
I watch a lot of Chris Harris. I tend to before I buy a car, I tend to watch a lot of videos on it.
Because you're a car guy, right?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
I own two cars. A third is on the way.
Okay, so yeah, you're a car guy.
In New York City.
Jesus. Wait, what are your cars? I know you got a Porsche.
I have a Porsche 911 Carrera S. I have a 300 TD wagon, 1983.
Oh, okay.
With the cocoa mats inside, original radio, none of that Alpine shit. Like real deal motherfucking 83 wagon diesel.
Oh.
Diesel.
All right.
So I have that. And I have a 911 GT3 2022 on order to deliver next year.
Damn. There you go. That's a legit car. Okay.
Yeah, I need a truck. I need a truck though.
You're gonna get the. You know what's crazy?
Don't say the G wagon.
You gotta get an F-150, right?
Listen, I want a Defender. I want to Land Rover Defender, the new one. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put like big Arctic tires on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna put big Arctic tires on it. Just fully blacked out.
Damn.
And that will be my fishing truck.
You fish?
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
You got to go roll with Coggins, man.
I'll be up there. I'll be right up there with Coggins, but like, I don't know Coggins. So like, we're in the same area. We probably fish the same waters, but like, I don't know Dave that well. So
let me know. I'm happy to link you guys. He's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right in Cooks Falls on the Beaver Kill. Catch me in my waders, fly fishing.
There you go. All right. What's the last thing you bought online?
I bought 6 pairs of New Balance 996s.
There you go. Okay.
So
much for loafers.
Listen. So I have 2 things that I wear. I wear the 996s and I wear my loafers. If you see me out, I'm wearing either one of those. The 996s, they're the made in USA versions. Just straight up gray and like hints of brown and whatever. Mm-hmm. Best shoe of all time, in my opinion. But you can never find them.
That's true.
You can never find them. So I'll go into a store, they don't have them, but and every once in a while I'll do a search online. Mostly the only searches that come up are, StockX and, somebody selling me a pair of, New Balance for $275, like eat a dick. Right. So like, so I'm like, all right. So I'm like, all right, I'll just wait. So I searched it the other day and Essence had them in stock. And, if I see them, I'm going to buy a bunch of them. So right. I bought one to see if it was exactly what I wanted it to be. I got those in and it was. And then I went fucking ham.
There you go. If I had my own like e-commerce store and I was selling New Balance, I'd have every color listed. But when you add a color that is not gray to cart, it would just say wrong.
Wrong.
People be like, what? I want to get the red ones. It's like, you can't.
No.
There is only one option.
Yeah, like it just says dumbass across the screen. Do not.
Yeah. Someone's going to at me be like, I actually wear the orange. Like, that's cool. Power to you. Gray's the only one.
Listen, somebody might unsubscribe from your Patreon because
I've had that happen where
they have read New Balance.
People have been like, I'm disappointed in that you thought that I shouldn't wear this, and I'm like, I think you should wear anything. Yeah. I just also have my own opinions.
I have my own opinions.
I like to have my opinions for myself incredibly strong, and I'm so convicted by them until I change my mind.
Listen, that's the only way. That's the only way. And like, yo, honestly. Like looking back when you're young and you're like, oh shit, like, you see an old man that like kind of wears sort of the same thing every day. And you're like, yo, what the fuck? This old man, like he doesn't put on anything interesting. Nah, he's figured it out.
Yeah, he did.
He's figured it out. He's content.
He's a 90-degree Fahrenheit cardigan wearing dude.
Right. He don't give a fuck. He knows what's good for him.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
So
that's gonna be us when we get older.
I'm almost there. What is a movie, book, or film that when someone mentions, you feel that they understand you?
I'll say one. I'll say one of each. Right. I'll say one
Sure.
movie and one book. So the book is definitely Shoe Dog.
Oh, okay.
Um, I read that book, and by the time I read that book, I like the business was already up and humming. But I read that book and basically heard everything that I had done over the past 2 years.
Right. That's good. That's good validation.
Yeah.
And that's the Phil Knight Nike book, I assume.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
from the money woes to like, everything. It was just sort of like a mirror situation.
Mm.
The movie, I would say, is Paid in Full.
I'm not familiar with that one.
The Rockefeller film, Paid in Full, with Cameron, Dame Dash, Mekhi Phifer.
Whoa.
And Wood Harris.
Okay. Damn. All right.
Yes. If you've seen that movie, you know who I am.
It was
I don't
good.
know. I don't know if you're going to ask me this question later on, but my favorite brand of all time is Band of Outsiders.
Really? Have you ever talked with Scott?
We haven't like spoken beyond like me telling him like, yo, he's probably one of my biggest inspirations in this shit.
That's awesome.
Like when I got off the ground, I was like, yo, like I hit him up. I hit him with a DM and I was like, yo, like you are the guy to me, and I just needed him to know that. Yeah. So, Scott is, that was one of the brands that like, first showed me what it's like to kind of recontextualize something like that. His stuff was, just, the way that the brand operated, the way that, the new takes on these old things, like, it was like, I think he did like a Harrington jacket that was in leather. That was like fucking amazing. The Sperry's that he did, monumental. There's no better Sperry out there than the ones that Scott did.
I agree. I want them to re-release those all the time. The inside out ones, all that. Like, just
the
put them back
canvas
out.
ones, put them out. Put them out. Like we did a denim loafer this past season, and that was like me thinking about the canvas and shit that Scott did.
Yeah.
And like that's my favorite shoe that I've made. A lot of people love the cowhide and all that other shit and the croc and shit. Those shits are nice. But like my favorite shoe is the denim because like you can do so many different things to it. As you wear it, it'll change. Like that's my favorite shoe that I've made.
Dang. That's cool about Band of Outsiders though. I mean, I feel like that is a brand that now more than ever people are like, oh man, we actually did have it really good. Like,
yes.
I mean, it was so great.
Yeah, I remember when they opened that store on Wooster. Like, I was just so psyched. And they had milk. They had the milk bar in there. You know what I'm saying? They were selling cookies and ice cream, like right on the side. Like they were where people want to be right now.
Yeah,
but it didn't last long. Like there was some there was whatever the financial thing was that happened with them. That shit happened, and the store closed. Like maybe
that happens when you take lots of private money. I mean, that's a tough thing too. If someone comes knocking on your door and they're like, "Hey, we want to take you to the next level," proceed with caution.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, man. I actually respect Scott for even going that route and taking it because it's like, yo, like if you have a moment in time, and you want to take full advantage of it, then sometimes you need that cash.
That's
sometimes
true.
You need that cash, and Scott probably didn't do what was best for him in that situation because I'm sure Scott was fine. He was taken care of. Like, he was making enough money to be able to be okay. But Scott was like, yo, I want to be able to take this thing to the next level for the people that love it.
Right.
And that's a decision, that you make with caution, of course. But, you don't know where your partnerships are going to lead you with somebody. Like, Scott made that decision, based on the fact that he wanted to give people, if it was for the store, he wanted to give people a place where they can come and check shit out. And that's not Barney's,
Right.
or opening ceremony. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to create that narrative yourself. And like, that's something that we're getting ready to do as well. We're getting ready to open the store soon. So like, I understand that, as much as, you got to be careful, like sometimes your consumer base makes a decision for you before you're ready to make that decision.
Well, I mean, that's the advice that Ralph Lauren gives to almost every young designer. I mean, I remember when
Really?
I had, when I
never
had
heard
the Marcus from Rag and Bone on, when he talks about when they met with Ralph, he said that Ralph pulled them aside because it was Marcus and then his partner who's no longer with him. And he said that the number one thing you got to do for your brand is to open up your own store, because it allows, like what you were just saying, it allows you to tell your customers, no, this is our experience. Like this is, that's cool that we're sold here, but that's their experience with our product in it. This, you can say, no, this is what Blackstock and Weber is. This is our music. This is what's on the wall. This is our furniture. This is us.
And that's super important to me. I'm fighting with, our finance team, and like everybody that I work with is homies, right? So like, our finance team is like, a good friend of mine who works in finance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, so like, I'm like fighting with him about this shit. And I'm like, yo, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And like, you got to figure out what that looks like around me.
Yeah.
For this one, everything else, I'm like cool with listening to you on. But like this, you're going to have to figure out what this is around me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's good. I mean, because you also got to have, because I mean, any finance person is going to be about safety, and well, let's make sure that we have enough reserves so we can do this. And if things go bad, and it's like, but sometimes you got to have someone that just is like, nope, my foot's on the gas and we're not letting go. We're either blowing up or we're,
Right.
So,
right.
That's good. Yeah. Well, Chris, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, we can keep chatting, but this has been really, really good. Chris, thank you so much for chatting, man. It was real good to talk. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right,
thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. Our show is produced by Blamo Media. We're edited by Marlo. The theme music, as always, by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. If you like what you heard, you know the drill. Share the pod with a friend. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Do all the good stuff. Follow us on Instagram for all the hot content at Blamo Podcasts. And if you want to talk to us and give us your hot take, we'd love to hear from you. Call us at 917-267-2495. Leave us a message and we'll put it in a future episode. Or just email us at info@blamopod.com. If you want to hang and join the Blam fam, visit patreon.com/Blamo, where we have tons of exclusive episodes in our amazing Slack community where we talk about just you name it. It's all there. All right, that's it from me. Learn what your check engine light looks like. I'll see you soon.